Final ending to time to go or no. All other parts down below. The last 3 weeks have been crazy. First was the wedding I was in. Bridesmaid I walked with was actually fairly attractive and single. The other groomsman had his wife sitting at the bridal table with him, but my STBX wasn't. She did not like that and ended up leaving early and was pissed at me for not understanding why she was upset. We are getting divorced. Why would they seat her next to me? I think she was also still having a hard time with it because she thought she was going to marry her other man. That next Monday she was sick and I got sick too, but the worst was that our 16-year-old was dumb and brought an ex to school and got expelled. I had to leave work to be home when the deputy dropped him off. We spent the next 2 weeks meeting with the school and getting him into therapy as a condition of them letting him back in. Thankfully, they let him back. As a result of this, she dropped out of college to be home with him while he was out of school, so she has been super depressed about that. I went out a couple weeks ago with some friends and one of them was a very attractive, recently single woman. At the end of the night, I was driving her home and she asked what happened with us because my STBX didn't really tell her. I told her the whole situation and she was pissed that my STBX had withheld the fact that she had left me and started a relationship. When I walked in the door at home at 2 a.m., STBX was still up and looked like she had been crying all night. She did not like that I was out having fun without her and especially with this woman. Later that week I noticed a big bruise on her arm and asked her about it and she dismissed the topic. A couple days later, after she had a couple glasses of wine, I got her to tell me that the night I went out she was feeling really low. I have felt over the last month like she has been slowly trying to work her way back to me, but I keep staying the course. Between that and dropping out of school, being dumped by other man, and son getting expelled, she is a mess. So, this last weekend I made plans with some friends to come over next weekend when he has his daughter for the weekend. My STBX got pissed at me because she will be out of town that weekend with friends. She's pissed because she says I planned it on purpose for the weekend she was gone to exclude her. I told her it was because that is the weekend our friend has his daughter and I am making plans for me and the boys. She wanted me to have them come this weekend instead. I told her he doesn't have his daughter this weekend and that was the point of getting together, and that if she wants to do something with them then she needs to call them and set it up. We are divorcing. I don't need to consider her in my plans. She stormed out after that fight and then it just got worse. She sent the female friend a message confronting her as to why she was ignoring her, and the friend told her she found out why we were getting divorced and was pissed that my STBX had not told her the truth. My STBX took it to mean that she was pissed over her leaving me, even though the woman said she would not judge her for that but that it had to do with her not being truthful about it. Well, my STBX came out of her room and yelled at me about it and how I am trying to turn everyone against her. She slammed the door and proceeded to take every picture she could find in a frame of me and her and cut them up, including all of our wedding photos. I told her the living arrangements are not working anymore and she needs to get a job and move out. She has till November 15th. That was Sunday night. She hasn't said a single word to me since. It is very tense in the house and the oldest commented on it. I told him I was sorry and that is why people getting divorced shouldn't live together. Of course, she is still not looking for a job. I don't know what is going through her head. I think she is hoping the silent treatment will make me come to her to reconcile. Who knows? She is so out of it right now that it would not surprise me if she committed suicide. She won't seek professional help and has shut almost everyone out and won't talk. I don't know what to do now. Sorry for the novel. I'm sure I am leaving some stuff out, but this should give you the general idea of where things are at in my life. She missed 2 weeks of class and couldn't make it up. It cost her $1K in tuition and books. I told her to talk to the dean and explain why she had to drop out and they may just apply her tuition and book rentals to next quarter. Do you think she even took the time to do that? No, she is so depressed just getting out of bed and taking the kids to school is all she can manage. I am still putting up with this because I only have a month till this thing is done and I don't want her to get a wild hair and change the divorce agreement. Once it is final, I will be free to kick her to the curb. Oh, and call other man's commanding officer and clue him in on what transpired over the summer. I also found out he applied with another department over here, so I have another email or phone call to make there too. I will do what I can to make his life as difficult as possible. It's only fair, right? She was actually a very logical person and some of that still shows through. She did experience dysfunction as a child and it still affects her today even if she won't admit it. She slowly tries to worm her way back in because she cannot bring herself to admit her wrongdoing and knows I will not take her back, but she thinks she can sneak her way back in. If I were to tell her today that I want her back and we can work it out, she might tell me everything I want to hear, but I know it would rear its ugly head again in the future. I have talked to a lot of people who have been through what we have and quite a few who ended up back together. One couple we have known for a while just a couple weeks ago told me they went through a similar situation, except it was the husband. They split up for a couple years and went their own ways but ended up back together and have been for 20 years. They told me to move on and work on myself, and if she does the same, they think we will end up back together. My STBX will need to do some major work on herself for me to even entertain that idea down the road, but you never know. I have told people recently that I am not closing the book on us. Just this chapter. I am going to read some different books for a while, and if I don't find one I will consider picking up this one again and starting a new chapter. I think it is an apt analogy. I know she still loves me and is very confused. I wish I could show her that article and that she could read it and understand the difference, but I know she can't. That is something she will need to discover on her own, and there is a very real possibility that she never will. Not much happened over the weekend. She broke her silent treatment but is still acting very angry. Once the boys go to bed, she locks herself in her room. I chuckled last night as she came out of her room to get some wine because it struck me at how much energy it must take for her to display the disdain and anger she has toward me. It must be exhausting. It is also ironic that she is the one to feel this way. We had another big fight 2 nights ago. I rearranged my workday so that she could be at the hospital to see her first niece born. Of course, it happened in the middle of the night, so she came home in the morning and slept most of the day. She went back to the hospital again that night. It is my week with the kids, so no big deal. I made dinner for us, not expecting her to come back for a while, but I get a message from her just as we are finishing dinner that she is on her way and asking me to put a couple things on for her, which I did. She comes in yelling about how I didn't make them correctly and didn't include something I know she likes. That's when the fight started. We went back and forth over all kinds of issues, but in the end, she has the audacity to say, "I have come to realize that you are not my friend and have never had my back in anything. You have never been a good friend to me." Are you kidding me? I have bent over backwards for this woman over the years. The times I didn't have her back was because I did not agree with her actions or viewpoint on a matter. I will admit that in the beginning of our relationship I could have done a better job of defending her to my family. But that is ancient history. She still expects me to have her back. I pointed out that we are getting a divorce and she left me for another man. Why would I have her back? I was trying to be civil and be friends, but it's not easy, and when she comes home and treats me the way she did that night, I'm not going to take it. I kept asking when she is going to get a job and move out, and she doesn't think she should because of the issues we are having with our oldest son. I told her that we will just have to deal with it as best we can, but she needs to go and should have thought about all of this before she decided to blow up our marriage. I said she didn't think about it because she only had one thing on her mind. I'm sorry to say I lowered myself to her level, but it felt good to get in some good jabs. The final blow was when I said if he hadn't dumped you, you would have been fighting to get out of this house by now. By the look on her face, I couldn't tell if she was about to break out crying or punch me. She got in my face and pointed her finger about an inch from my nose and said to stop and don't say another word, and then stormed out and slammed the door to the room. After she calmed down a bit, I got her to talk and tried to reason with her and tell her that I know she is not in a good place, but she can't just crawl into a hole and do nothing. She needs to get a job. She says she will start looking for anything, night work if she has to. She will not admit that how she went about this whole thing was wrong, and I told her that she is the only one who thinks that, to which she had no reply. Things are very tense in the house, but I feel a little better getting some stuff off my chest. She also made it very clear that we are no longer friends, and now she is mourning the loss of our relationship. To which I said, "Welcome to my world." I want to literally kick her out the front door, but I really need this divorce to be final because the terms are about as good as you can get. She is just now mourning the loss because in her mind we were going to remain close friends. You are not the first person to say she is crazy. Her reaction to my dumping her ass comment made me realize that she is still holding out hope that she will end up with him. She is going to wait until he moves over here to see if they can make it work. It is really very sad. I don't know if she will ever wake up, but if she does, she is going to get hit with this many years down the road and I will be totally gone. 3 weeks and counting till this is final. She comes from a long line of stubborn people. Couple that with her pride and she will never admit it to herself. She is definitely trying to blame this on me now. She is normally a logical person too, but that is gone. In her mind, the day I confronted her and she said she wanted to be with him and we were getting divorced. That was the point. She was free to pursue a relationship with him and we were basically divorced. The actual divorce paperwork was a formality in her mind. I told her that if that was the case, then she should have moved out the next day or started paying rent, utilities, and every other expense she incurred in my house. Obviously, she doesn't see it that way. It has been almost 6 weeks since her last contact with him. No cell phone, email, Facebook, or meetups. He dumped her and has moved on, and her pride will not allow her to contact him. 18 days and counting. Once it is final, I can take action. I am so over this crap. She came home Saturday night to our friend with his daughter and a couple of her friends playing games with me and the boys. She was supposed to be out of town for the weekend, but plans fell through, so she just went out for her friend's birthday. She comes home at 9 p.m. and is visibly irritated that people are over. She did join in for a while, but for me it just ruined the rest of the night. This is the evening she threw a fit over because I was purposely excluding her by planning it when she was going to be out of town. Yesterday she went and hung out with a friend of ours in the afternoon and didn't get back until evening. I could tell something was up when she came home and confirmed it when I texted our friend and acted like I knew what was going on. She confirmed that my STBX slept with a friend of hers. I know she is going to continue, but it drives me nuts that she still lives in my house while doing this. After November 15th it is going to get nasty around my house because she needs to go. I have plans made to be out and away from the house almost every day this week. Need to line something up for Wednesday and then my week is full. And for those of you that have been following my story, my self-imposed celibacy is over. I'm not planning anything, but if things go that way this week, I am going for it. I have felt like I need her gone in order to move on, but I've come to realize it will be better for me if I start moving on before she moves out. I haven't seen him in 2 years, but I have a feeling I'll end up running into him soon, just because I'll be more active in that group of friends. I held back this part because it is nasty, but when I went to toss my clothes into the hamper last night, I was hit in the face with a very distinct smell when I lifted the lid, and right there on top was her jeans and other things soaked in as swimmers. I'm guessing she'll have an STD in no time. She'll really miss my insurance. One needs to take care of that since she gets booted at the end of November. I have taken the high road so that I can respect myself when this is all complete, but I have also done it to protect my favorable settlement. I am definitely going to start being a little selfish. She is acting like a 16-year-old girl and is messed up because that is when her life was flipped upside down. I was curious, so I looked up her former other man on FB last and noticed that they are no longer friends on there. I don't know who dropped who, but based on her posts over the last couple weeks, I am guessing he got tired of seeing them and severed that tie as well. Interesting to note that she was being more chatty last night than she has since we had the first big fight 2 weeks ago. It seems her anger toward me has been softened by getting a good time. I think she relishes the knowledge that she has done it, and as far as she knows, I have no clue. I think she is viewing it as a revenge lay. And while it does sting a little, it does not have the same effect it would have before all of this. She is so lost and is going to continue to spiral down the drain. I feel sorry for her. She is so lost and can't understand why she is so depressed and thinks it is because she has been missing out on something by being married to me. I hope she figures it out as well for the kids' sake. I am going out tonight and just found out that the guy she did on Sunday will be there. What are the chances? I haven't seen this guy for 2 years, and now 2 days later I have to face him. I was talking to my friend invited me about who was going, and he mentioned this guy. I told him what I knew, and he said that this guy is a guy who works as a bartender, so he brings women home from the bar all the time. I don't have a problem with him being like that, to each his own, but that is nasty for my STBX. STD City. It will be interesting to see how he responds to me being there and the response I get from my STBX once he tells her. Because I know he will. The good thing is that I am bringing the newly single girl that my STBX got into the fight with 2 weeks ago and dumped as a friend that resulted in our fight, and her cutting up our photos. I have a feeling this week is going to be a rough one. Good thing I won't be home much. She has cut off or shut out anyone who tries to reason with her or give her advice. Even her parents. I have thought about reaching out to her sister-in-law, who she has talked to and spent the most time with over the last few months. She has always wanted a sister and feels very close to her, and has always been jealous of my relationship with her brother's wife because we always got along really well. Nothing inappropriate, just two people who understand each other and get along. For this reason, I have stayed away and not talked to her. She has been supportive of my STBX through this, but knowing her, I'm sure she doesn't agree with STBX's actions. I want to talk to her about getting my STBX some help because I think she is the only person right now who could have any influence. I had a good time last night. When I got home from work and started getting ready to go out, the STBX asked if I had any ideas for dinner, and I told her I was going out. Her reply was, "Oh, of course, as I am getting cleaned up." She decides she wants to chat with me and casually asks about my plans for the night. I didn't give her anything. The woman I was with checked all of us in on FB, and sure enough, within 20 minutes, my STBX sends me a snide message letting me know she knows what I was doing and who I was with. Then she posts some stupid thing on her wall that I know is directed at me. So, I liked it. The guy she did on Sunday comes walking up with another friend and plays it off well. Other than the initial hi, I never talked to him again or was anywhere near him. The funny thing is, I checked the phone records and he never sent my STBX a message, and she didn't send him one when she saw we were at the same event. But they could have messaged on FB. I had a great time and ended up talking to my female friend for quite a while when we got back to her house. Her and her 4-year boyfriend just broke up, and he moved out last week because she cheated on him. She was very open with me about what happened and what she and he had been through, and I was able to ask her questions about what had gone through her mind while in the affair. After, and now, it was interesting getting a first-hand accounting of what goes through a cheater's mind. She is very remorseful and has done everything right towards reconciliation, but her boyfriend isn't ready but hasn't discounted the possibility. When I get home at 1 a.m., I arrive to a dark house. Normally, even though all of this, the STBX will leave the porch light on and a couple lamps in the house. She leaves a nightlight on in the main hallway and a small light in the kitchen at night even when we are all home. She literally made the effort to make sure absolutely every light in the house was off when I got home. It may not seem like anything to most, but I know that she put thought into it. Most mornings she gets up and wakes up the boys for school and gets back in bed while they get ready. This morning she stayed up and says to me right before I leave for work, "Please stop liking things I post on FB." To which I responded okay, but I wanted to respond with, haha. It was a successful evening. I had a great time with my friends and irritated the crap out of the STBX. And was able to make additional plans for tonight. Which means I will only be home to sleep this whole week. I had another great night last night and got home very late again. The porch light was on this time and a note on my bed, "I'd like to talk. Are you going to be home tomorrow night?" I wonder what that is about. Why didn't she just send me a text to ask? When I got home from work yesterday, she and the boys were not home. So I did a load of laundry. As I am separating out my clothes from her, I accidentally grabbed the stuff in question. Still not washed and smelling terrible. That pissed me off. I did my clothes only, and when we talk we'll make it clear that she needs to keep her clothes away from mine and do not wash my clothes anymore, as I will handle it. We talked for a long time and she finally broke down that she has been so depressed because she realizes she completely messed up her life and has lost the best man she could ever hope to have in her life. She said that she did feel something for the other man that she had never felt before, but during their few months together came to realize that there was so much about him that she couldn't see living with and has no desire to be with him anymore. Last week was the final straw for her when I was out every night enjoying my life without her. She said it was driving her nuts and she has seriously been fighting suicidal thoughts for weeks now. She didn't think I would be upset about the pictures. She couldn't stand to look at a reminder of what she had thrown away. She knows that I am trying to move on but wants to see if we can work things out. She even suggested that if I am open to considering a reconciliation, we go to counseling. This is a first for her. She has said in the past that she would never do that, and now she is pushing for it. She says that she understands the fact that I am guarded and don't trust her and may never trust her, but she wants to do whatever she can to try to salvage things. I told her that this chapter of our life is closing. We will be divorced in less than 2 weeks and the relationship we had is gone. I told her that I would always wonder if she were longing for other man, or when the next other man comes along and she decides she can't live without him and we're right back here. I reminded her of all the betrayals I have experienced over the last 6 years, and while she has been honest with me in that time about her feelings, she went about things all wrong and I can't trust her the way I used to. I told her that I have considered the possibility of us having a chance year down the road after we have both experienced other relationships and discovered ourselves and worked on our issues. But until then we would just be back in the same situation we were. I also told her that the timing leads me to believe that she is scared of the finality of the divorce and is saying whatever she can to stop it so that she has time to figure things out. There is a lot more I said that I can't think of right now. Needless to say, I have not gotten a lot of sleep over the last few nights as we have spent considerable time talking each night after the boys go to bed. When I told her all of this and how I felt about it, she visibly cringed and slumped and said that she knows we are in different places and that what she has feared is true, that she has lost me. She has been crying constantly. She said that she doesn't need to go out and experience other relationships, and then it hit me. She already did that. Part of her knows that I should do the same thing, but she is afraid that I would find someone else and not come back. I'll tell you what, she is either an Oscar-caliber actress or this is the real deal. She is literally throwing herself on my mercy and is willing to do whatever it takes to make this work. She knows I am guarded and that I will never trust her again, but she is willing to do the heavy lifting. Wait however long it takes for me. Abide by whatever boundaries I need. The first example of this, she would have had to have paid to put a stop on the divorce and make changes and only had 1 day to get them the money, or else they were putting it through for the judge to sign. She didn't stop it. She is accepting the agreement she made when she was running to get out, and so it will still be final next Friday. I thought I was messed up 5 months ago. This has thrown me for a complete loop. I was moving on and ready for whatever my new life would bring. Hope for reconciliation was a distant memory, and not something I wanted anymore. Believe me, I'm not jumping on this, but my heart tells me I need to consider it. My brain is pushing for me to move on, but even that is telling me I need to consider it. She doesn't deserve another chance, and in her former and current state is not worthy of me. But if she is truly willing to make changes and earn her way back, I might consider it. I feel like the ground has been pulled out from under me and I am just floating in space, not knowing which way is up. This divorce is going through, and thank God it is with the good terms. I am by no means saying I am ready to jump on the reconciliation bus. I will give myself plenty of time and see what she does, and, in the meantime, I will be going and getting myself some action. We talked again yesterday and she asked if I had looked into a counselor yet. I told her no, because we aren't back together. She said whether we get back together or not, she thinks it would be good for us for the sake of the kids and our ability to get along. I told her I would consider that, but afterwards I thought about it, and I am going to recommend that she start going to IC now, and we can consider going together later. She is not in a rush to get back together and wants us both to have time to figure this out. The good thing is that we are openly communicating. I told her all of the reasons why it is hard for me to even consider this. Her professing love for other man, telling me she has never been in love with me, her previous emotional and physical affairs, the fact that this is coming on the eve of our divorce being final and her having no plan or future, and the fact that she was just sleeping with someone last week. She cringed in each and every of the points I made, especially about the guy last week, and looked completely destroyed by the time I stopped talking. She understands but is willing to wait and do what it takes to figure this out. One of the points that stung the most was when I pointed out that she cheated on other man with me on the cruise. She tried to justify it by saying that she already knew that he was going to break up with her and that they were over. I told her that she can justify it whatever way she wants, but it tells me that she is not the person I once knew and loved. I am trying not to get into discussions about those types of things with her because I want those discussions to happen in counseling. If we go, talking to her about it is giving me the time I need for the divorce to be finalized. The fact that she is willing to go to counseling is a big deal based on her stance on it before. If she starts going and I see real change, then I will consider it. I need to see her work on it and make changes first though. In the meantime, I will continue focusing on my own life, which will include going out with friends and going for the 19-year-old and 50-year-old from the cruise. I am not putting my life on hold based on her desire to reconcile. My boy's well-being is paramount through all of this, and us still living together is actually a good thing at this point. So I am willing to continue with the arrangement we have now. Last week she never called them back about putting it on hold, and we both assumed they mailed it. They called her on Wednesday this week and said they were still holding it. So she asked me what I wanted to do. I told her to put it on hold so that we will still be married at the end of the year. I did some quick math, and by doing this I will get at least an extra $1,000, possibly $2,000 back on my taxes versus us divorcing and having to file separately. Plus, it will give me time to review some other changes I would like to make to the agreement regarding her still living here. They can hold it for 6 months, but we should be able to have them send it in January. Once we make the changes and they send it to the court, it will be final immediately because the waiting period has passed. We are bonding again, and we both agree that it is the best either of us have ever experienced. As long as we are bonding, she will not be going out and getting it anywhere else. I have made no promise that I won't though. We have had many difficult and serious conversations over the last 2 weeks, and she has been fairly receptive and accepting of what I have to say. I feel like her desire to reconcile is genuine and based on her love for me, but I continue to tell her that she needs to get professional help before I will even consider attempting to reconcile. Once she is in counseling and I see the changes I need, I will join her for couples counseling and see what happens. If she doesn't take the steps I require, there will be no reconciling. Her getting a job and contributing to the household expenses will be a definite must. Basically, I am approaching this like I have everything else over the last 5 months, one day at a time. The difference is that I feel much more equipped to deal with things and have a much clearer head. The other night she kissed me and said she loved me, and I just looked at her. There was a time when that is all I wanted to hear from her, and now it doesn't have the same effect. I felt like I needed to say it back, but it wouldn't have been genuine, and she could see that. I didn't say anything, and she said, "It's all right. You don't need to say anything. I understand. I just needed to let you know how I feel." There have been a couple instances since then that she has said she loved me and I don't reciprocate. Time will tell on her part and mine. Almost half a year later, things are still weird, but we're getting along and our focus is on getting our teenager on track. So much has happened over the last couple months, but nothing so major I need to go over it here. We are still in a holding pattern. We talk a lot and are open with what we're thinking and feeling. She understands my apprehension and the pain she caused and regrets it. She has removed several people from her Facebook that she knew I had a problem with. One of the guys has continued to try to contact her, and she lets me know when he does and tells him to stop contacting her. She has gone to a couple therapy sessions and is working on herself. She knows I am not automatically taking her back and that we might not work out, but she wants to try and appears to be doing some heavy lifting to make it work. Time will tell. In the meantime, I am focusing on my boys, my work, and myself. I am not ruling out anything at this point and am open to whatever comes my way. Another half a year later, we celebrated our 15-year anniversary back in April and both started wearing out wedding rings again. We also canceled the divorce proceedings. Our oldest is doing better, but my wife is still struggling. She was writing out a message on FB to the OM back in August just to get some feelings out, and she says she accidentally sent. Well, he responded and basically confirmed everything I had told her last year. He wasn't into her enough to fight for their relationship, and it was basically just an affair. He's been in a relationship for over 9 months now, compared to their 80-day thing. We talked about it and she says that gave her closure, and she apologized that she had to go through and put me through that to figure things out. I'm still not convinced this is going to work long term, but for now we're getting by. She is open with her passwords and not hiding anything and not contacting any of the people I have a problem with. Ultimately, she will need to get some therapy and then we will need some counseling, but for now we're just trying to get by with the money we are putting out for the teenager. I still need closure with her actions in the past as well. She needs to come clean on everything she's done or we will never work. But I don't feel like we can talk about that until she gets some help and we can address it in counseling. Until then, we will continue as we have for the last year, which has been pretty good. I can live with things the way they are for the next few years. If therapy and counseling don't help, then I can make a decision then. I do randomly check her phone, computer, and email. No sign of anything. She has expressed her desire for us to renew our vows and have a wedding type event and reception. This is something she has always wanted because we didn't have that with our wedding. I have told her that I am nowhere near that place, but that it is a possibility in the future. She understands and knows it will take years before I'm ready to do something like that. She is taking care of herself physically. She's taken up running and we've done some 5Ks together. In some ways she is more stable, but in others she is not. Hard to explain. She needs to work on her self-esteem and self-confidence. She has been a better wife and mother in the last year than she has in our entire life. For the most part I do enjoy her company, but there are times when I am completely turned off by her. Those times are when we are talking about some of the things that she needs to address in therapy. I know she is avoiding going to therapy, not because she doesn't want to go, but because the few sessions she has gone to have been painful and she's afraid of reopening all the wounds from her past. Yes, she is physically affectionate in a non-physical way more than she ever has been before. I've been continuing to focus on my self-improvement, and it's paying off because my careering has been taking off this year and continues to look good. Unfortunately, that results in less time for me to work out, so I've gained back about 5 to 10 pounds of the stress weight I lost last year. I still look better than I did 2 years ago, but not where I want to be. More importantly though, I feel better than I have in the past. I focus more on what I want and my own happiness and less on hers. I know many of you don't agree with the path I've taken, and part of me agrees. But for the time being this is what works for me and my boys. My oldest is doing better than he has in years, and my youngest is entering the difficult teen years and needs some stability in the house. My outlook on our relationship is more realistic now. Another half a year later, we celebrated 16 years in April. We are coming up on 2 years since D-Day. She started going to therapy at the beginning of the year and is making progress. It's been very hard for her, but she is putting in the effort and being honest with herself, her therapist, and me. Our good friends are going through a very similar situation. The wife has a guy lined up and the husband just found out about it. I have been giving him guidance and recommended he come here for support. He didn't agree with me taking my wife back, but now that he is in a similar situation, he has changed his tune and admitted that he had no idea what I was going through. It's really sad to see them going through this. As for me and my wife, things continue to get better and I see a real change in her. I would say our relationship is healthier and stronger than it has ever been. I comment, your wife told you that she never loved you. Which part of what she told you that you do not understand? She flaunts her affair right in your face. This is not love. She married and stayed with you out of convenience. You and your friend, who also has a cheating wife, need to see a psychologist to help you build your self-esteem. It is a matter of time when you will be confronted with the cheating behaviors again. Your wives do not love you but see you as a meal ticket. Wake up, and there's your final ending. I think OP is rug sweeping, but if you can live with it, then who am I to say what's right for you? We all make choices as to what we can and cannot live with. If anything, do what you can to keep improving yourself. Don't wait around at the station for her to jump on your train. Get that engine going and move forward with your life. She either jumps on board or she gets left behind. What do you guys think about the ending? Comment down below and tell me what OP should have done.